This video is going to be a game changer for most of you watching it. And if you know my content, you know I don't say that very often. You know I don't make statements like that. I have hundreds of videos here at my YouTube channel. I have thousands of articles at my blogs. I don't normally say these things, but this is one of those times where I have pulled out one of the biggest and most important concepts that I have that I can help you with in terms of, specifically today, your woman life and your relationship life. And if you get what I'm about to describe to you in this video, it will change the way you view this forever. It will change the way you view your relationships with women, and you will improve your relationships with women when you get this.
Alpha Male 2.0. Freedom-focused lifestyle design for men. We do 5 videos a week here on how to make both your business life and woman life more free, because you need both. If you subscribe to this channel, leave a like on this video, and leave a comment on this video, you will automatically be entered into the regular drawing for my online video course on how to create location-independent income, normally $1,400. We regularly announce the winners at the community feed at this channel.
The problem with men when they date women in sexual and/or romantic relationships or marriages is that they assume that women are like them. They assume that women are like guys, and that's why guys do things, for example, like send dick pics to women. They say, well, I would like it if she sent me a picture of her tits, so clearly she'll love it if I send her a picture of my dick. No, women are not like men. And this is one of those core concepts where when you understand it, you'll be able to transform your relationships for the rest of your life. And I wrote an article about this many years ago, 7 years ago now, and this was one of the biggest articles I wrote. This is one of the articles where I got the most positive feedback on it. What I'm going to do for this video today is a different format than I normally do for these videos. I've been experimenting, as a lot of you know, with different types of formats for videos to see which format you guys like the best. I have the article that I wrote 7 years ago in front of me, and instead of just reading the article, which would be boring, or instead of me verbally telling you the content of the article, which is what I was originally planning on doing, instead I'm going to read pieces of the article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read pieces of it and interrupt myself with updates and commentaries so you can get more detail on what I wrote a long time ago. This is the concept of comfortable being uncomfortable. Women, unlike men, women are designed emotionally and mentally to be comfortable when they are uncomfortable. Men, on the other hand, don't like being uncomfortable. We like comfort. So let me explain what I mean. Here's the article, or at least pieces of the article. As a man, you're well acquainted with what it's like to be a man. By the time you're about 25 years old or so, you have a reasonably comprehensive understanding of all the joys, sorrows, pains, and advantages of being a man. Regardless, you will never understand women as much as actually being a woman. This is true no matter how old you are or how many women you have dated, had sex with, married, lived with, worked with, fathered, raised, or befriended. Correct. You'll never understand what it's like to be a woman and live her life as a woman, which I'm about to describe to you. The reason for this is being a woman, living a life as a woman, is much different than being a man. I could list many differences, but the biggest one we men tend to underestimate is the sheer amount of pain and suffering women go through as compared to the typical guy. Correct. I will be specific in a second. So I start out in the article with, I'm not saying men never suffer. Of course we do. I'm not saying men never get a raw deal for being men. Of course this happens, and I've written about those instances extensively. Correct. So just because I'm saying women suffer a lot more during their upbringing than men do, doesn't mean men don't suffer. Of course. I've written numerous articles about this, obviously. But in terms of the over amount of pain and suffering from age 0 to age 80, women go through a lot more of it with their bodies, emotions, lives, and finances than does the typical man. And because of this, they are accustomed to this pain. They are accustomed to being uncomfortable. They are accustomed to these stresses, whereas we men are not. We are not as accustomed to these things because we were designed very differently. Now, you could argue that men are more designed for physical suffering because we were the ones who had to go fight the saber-toothed tigers and fight in the arenas and all that crap, and that's probably true, perhaps. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about our physical bodies or physical pain, physical suffering, bleeding, any of that stuff. I am talking about mentally and emotionally. Going back to the article. Pretend you were born a woman. Here are some things you get to look forward to. Your first 11 or 12 years are pretty good. Everyone kisses your ass and tells you how cute you are. But then the fun begins. First, you start suffering cramps, and your vagina bleeds for several days. This happens every month for the next 35 years. Holy shit, I say in the article. Now you have to deal with pain and blood and mood swings every month. Now that's on top of things like cramps, PMS, all that other crazy shit that women have to put up with for 35 years, every month for 35 years. I want you to think for a minute, you guys, think for a minute if you had to go through this. Think for a minute if your balls bled for several days, once a month, and then you got cramps, and then you got all emotional and either bitchy or cryy or whatever, and you had to go through that every fucking month for 35 years. Think about that for a minute. All right, moving on. A guy never has to worry about this. When you turn 13, this is your woman now, suddenly you hate your parents, mostly your mother. I've talked about how women go through a phase when they're around age 13 where they hate their mothers for several years. I have seen hundreds of women go through this. Women I have known, women I have dated, not 13-year-olds obviously, but they would describe this to me later in life. My own daughter went through this, my sisters went through this, they all went through this. Women go through a phase around age 13 where they fucking hate their moms. Do all women go through this? No. We're talking about averages and generalities here, but generally it's true. Do men go through a phase where you hate your mother or hate your dad when you hit 13 or 14 or 15? No, you don't. Now, there might be scenarios where you hate your parents, but is that a phase most men go through? No, just women have to go through this shit. All right, moving on. For the next few years, you go through a lot of conflict with your parents. Most teenage boys never experience. Ask therapists, ask counselors that focus on teenage children. They will tell you the same thing. Women have a lot more trouble relating to their parents in their high school years than men do. There's nothing like quite watching a screaming match between a mother and her 13, 14-year-old daughter. How often do you see such a match between a mother and her 13 or 14-year-old son? See my point? I write in the article. All right, moving on. At around the same time, you become horribly concerned with your body and how you look, in ways most boys don't even give a shit about. Right. So when women enter their teenage years, suddenly they are hyper concerned about their bodies, how they look, their hair. Are boys hyper concerned about their bodies when they're 14, 15? No, they don't give a fuck. There are exceptions, yes, but generally speaking, no. But women have to go through this throughout their entire high school experience and college experience in ways men don't. If you are at all overweight, I write in the article, even a little, multiply this by 10. Again, if you're a little overweight as a guy, do you give a fuck? No. If you're a little overweight as a teenage girl, it's all you think about all day long, right? All right. Then you start having sex and you like it. Now I'm going to update that and change that. You start having sex and you're a girl, the first time you start having sex, and you fucking hate it. Women hate having sex the first time. Every woman will tell you this. Have you ever heard a woman say, I lost my virginity, it was fucking amazing? No, they're like, ugh. Not just the first time, but the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth. These are not exciting events for women, like it is for men. Whereas men, when you lose your virginity, even if it's with someone ugly, even if your dick doesn't work very well, you are so excited it's the best day of your fucking life. When I lost my virginity, I've mentioned this before, my dick didn't even work. I was so nervous, at least subconsciously nervous. I don't care. I had the greatest night of my life. It was fucking fantastic because I'm a guy. When you're a woman, do you go through that? No, not at all. You have to take time to start to learn to enjoy having sex, unlike men who enjoy it usually right off the bat. Moving on to the article. However, once you enjoy it, you can't come. Right. You can't orgasm. I know this as a man who has dated a lot of younger women. You guys who have had sex with a lot of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, you know it's much more difficult to get these women to come to orgasm because they're just not mentally there yet. It's something women have to go through. Do men have to go through this? When they're in high school, do men have to work really hard to come? No. Jesus Christ, they have premature ejaculation. They have the opposite problem. Are you kidding? No. All the boys you have sex with have a great time and come left and right, but you can't because of your body image issues, sexual inexperience, religious upbringing, daddy issues, blah, 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 blah. Right. It's not this wonderful, fun, enjoyable experience, sex, when you're a young woman, but it is when you're a guy. So more suffering for women. Moving on. It's likely you could become pregnant. Have fun being fat and throwing up for a year. Now you're a single mother, right? Which is the majority of babies born today or close to it. Kiss your happiness and freedom goodbye for the next 18 years. Yes, I've talked about how single mothers are the most stressed out people on the earth. They're the most stressed out people I have ever met, ever known. It's kind of sad. Oh, and have fun trying to lose all that baby fat when you're done, especially when you're older. Oh, and that loser who impregnated you, he runs off and keeps right on going with his life while you're stuck with a screaming child for the next 18 years. Right. That's right. That's how this happens. Right? Right. Now, even take the single mother thing away. Even if you were in a traditional monogamous marriage and this occurred and then you got divorced. Right? Is it the guy that takes over the kids and has the kids for 3 weeks and the mom that sees them on weekends? No. Moving on to the article, sure, he has to pay child support, but only if he has income. How many guys have a lot of income today? Especially today. If he's 19 years old and smokes weed all day, good luck with that. How many women have I known, how many women have you known who were attractive, reasonably intelligent women who got pregnant by accident, had a baby, single mother, and the guy that she had a baby with was a fucking moron who either didn't have a job or worked at the pizza restaurant or made minimum wage or worked construction off and on, and she couldn't get child support because he didn't have any fucking money. I don't see a lot of hot, young, intelligent girls getting impregnated by guys who make six-figure incomes who work at Google. I just don't see that. Do you see that? Because I don't. Okay, moving on. For the rest of your life, you have to deal with fear of men. Rational or not, you have fears of being beaten, kidnapped, or raped, and have to take all kinds of precautions regarding the opposite sex that men never need to worry about. Right. So when a guy goes on a first date, is he worried about his physical safety? He doesn't even give a fuck. No. But when a woman goes on a first date, she has to be careful about this and that and this. We got to meet during the day. We got to make sure there's people around. Is my mace in my purse? Right? All these concerns and fears that women have in relating to new men they meet, not just in dating scenarios, but also in social scenarios, sometimes even in business scenarios. Do you worry about, when you're a man, getting sexually molested by your boss, your female boss? No. But do women have to worry about that stuff? Yeah. At least it's on their minds, right? More stress, more pain that we men don't have to go through. Moving on with the article. For the rest of your life, you have to deal with ASD. If you don't know what ASD is anti-slut defense. That is that thing that tells women to not have sex with a new man, even if she wants to, because she might be a slut. And people might think she's a slut, so she better not do that. So she better hold off on having sex with a man that she is attracted to and does want to have sex with. Moving on. You want to have sex with men badly, but this strange magical force inside you tells you that you shouldn't, or shouldn't under certain conditions, or should feel guilty about it. Men don't have this problem, right? Do we have ASD? I mean, there are rare examples, but no! We think we're great when we're having lots of sex with lots of women, and it's perfectly fine. We're not worried about social backlash. Are women? Yeah. If that's not bad enough, this problem gets worse the older you get. That's a very big topic. I've described this in other articles and videos. ASD rises as a woman gets older. It spikes at age 33. It's at its all-time highs during the entire 30s and 40s. It drops a little in the 50s, but it's still very high. So ASD is not only a problem, it gets worse as a woman gets older. Have fun. For the rest of your life, it takes you about 90 minutes in the morning to get ready, and that is generous. I have known and dated many women who took longer than 90 minutes. A guy needs about 10 to 15 minutes, if that. Correct. When I get ready in the morning, I'm done in about 20 minutes. And that's because I do extra skin stuff that most guys don't do. My beautiful wife, Pink Firefly, takes at least 2 hours, sometimes longer, and that's not unusual. Say hello to all kinds of sleep deprivation and time management problems. Yes, that men don't have. Correct. Let's say you don't get pregnant, I say in the article. Uh-oh, now you're at age 28 and have to deal with another major biological problem that men don't have, the dreaded biological clock. Now you start running around like a maniac trying to find a man to marry or impregnate you as fast as possible before your time runs out. I have personally been on first dates with women in their late 30s. I've had this at least twice, but more than that. I'm remembering 2 different women in particular, where these women were in their late 30s, didn't have any kids yet, and they were freaking the fuck out. They're like, God damn it, someone impregnate me so I can have kids. I have 2 years left. Not a fun place to be. And this starts around age 28 based on my experience. Your standards for potential fathers suddenly drop like a stone. Right, because you're older and less desirable, which in turn raises the odds of divorce, assuming there's a marriage at all, often there is not, parenting conflict, and other relationship problems. Us guys can father children throughout our entire lives, so we don't have this problem. Correct. That's right. I know guys in their 60s who father children. No problem. We don't have a biological clock. That doesn't mean some men aren't in a hurry. I've discussed that in prior videos. But again, once again, this big problem that women are constantly worried about at certain stages of their lives, we don't have ever, us men. Not at all. We're not worried about it at all. Moving on. Then you turn 30. Oh my fucking God, I'm so old now. You spend your entire 30th birthday crying. 31st birthday too. When a man turns 30, he barely notices. That's right. Do we give a fuck? No. Although to be fair, it's possible he'll freak out when he turns 40, although for very different reasons. That would be for a midlife crisis or men's wall that I talk about at age 35. We do have that issue, but not all men have that issue, just some men have that issue. Whereas I have never met, maybe I've met one or two, that's not true. With rare exception, I have never met a woman who had a great time turning 30. Turning 30 is one of the worst days of a woman's life, and it's just downhill from there. Moving on. A few years later, you notice some new wrinkles on your face and burst into tears. A guy doesn't even notice his wrinkles until he's about 50, which is true. And even then, he barely gives a shit. Everyone's telling him he looks distinguished now. Moving on, you're married now. Wow, finally, but wait a minute, you're a woman, which means a few years into the marriage, you're gonna get sexually bored with your husband and won't wanna have sex with him anymore. I have written numerous articles about this in the past with numerous scientific links. This is biological. Women get bored with live-in monogamous partners, usually around 3 years. That's just biological, it's how they are. Cue all the usual sexual marital problems of the modern era, including high odds of divorce and infidelity. Yep, isn't that nice? Isn't that great? Moving on. Okay, now you're 45, so now you've, quote, made it. All the crap of parenting and emotions and pregnancy and periods and wrinkles and saggy boobs and divorces are over. Or, I didn't write this in there, or you're accustomed to them now. All right, I'm old, I have wrinkles, the way it goes. You've accepted all this and are finally at peace. But wait a minute, now we have menopause. Yay! You wake up in the middle of the night with hot flashes. You start screaming at everyone for no reason, and you find yourself masturbating in the bathroom on your lunch break. You cry a lot, have many stressful visits to the doctor. Have fun with this insanity for 4 or 5 years, if not longer. It never fucking ends when you're a woman. I feel sorry for women. It sucks. Finally, well into your 50s, you're all done suffering. All you have to concern yourself with now is that fat ass that keeps growing no matter what you do, and a nice new mustache because of your reduced estrogen. So, that's a woman's life. Here's how I summarize it. When it comes to pain and suffering, women have men beat hands down. This is why I always wake up every morning and thank the good Lord I was born a man. I do that. That's not a joke. I am so thankful that I'm a guy. It is so much easier to move through life as a man. I know a lot of men today don't feel that way, but it's true. As compared to women, I just went through it all. It is so much easier being a man. It is so much easier making more money than a man. Dating is actually easier when you're a man, once you understand a few things, than it is for women. Across the board on almost everything, not literally everything, but almost everything, it's easier being a man. I am so thankful that I was born a man. I shudder to think what would have happened if I was born a woman. Matter of fact, I've written articles about that too. Not a pretty picture. If I had to deal with all the emotional and biological garbage that women have to put up with on a regular basis, I'm pretty sure I'd kill myself. So now, here's the question. How do women do it? That's what I ask. Because of all this constant physical and emotional discomfort and emotional pain and conflict, women simply get used to it. Human beings are amazingly adaptive creatures. It's one of the primary reasons we've survived ice ages, wars, famine, climate change, and all kinds of other fun stuff that has killed off many other forms of life in this world. We adapt well. That's called homeostasis. It's a biological function. We adapt to what we need to, and then we just maintain that. Over time, as a woman goes through all the crap I just listed, she starts becoming accustomed to pain, discomfort, emotional angst, drama, financial problems, and all the other chaos she encounters on a regular basis. Things that you are not encountering as a man or encountering less often. Very important. And I say there, yes, you can and will encounter some of them. I said not nearly as often, and for not nearly as long a consistent period as compared to women. This means that when something arises in your life to cause you pain or discomfort, you as a man, physical or emotional, the pain you feel is a little sharper than if you were a woman. Why? Because she's used to bleeding and freaking out and all kinds of other shit. You aren't. When you get into a serious relationship with her, this means she has a hidden edge over you that you are not consciously aware of. Right. So that is the concept of women are comfortable being uncomfortable, and you are not. You don't like being uncomfortable. Women have no problem with being uncomfortable because that's how they live. That's how they roll. She's used to being uncomfortable. She's accustomed to it. You aren't. That means if she can make things uncomfortable for both of you, you're likely going to crack first. And she knows it. Correct. So when she's screaming and yelling at you, she's in her element. You don't like it. You want it to end. She has no problem with it whatsoever. And she can use that against you, and she will. Again, this is not because women are evil or women are manipulative. It's because of how they're biologically wired. Let's say you have a girlfriend or wife and get into a huge argument. She starts screaming and yelling. I mean, really screaming and yelling. Yuck, you don't like that. It makes you uncomfortable. But she's doing just fine screaming like a maniac. She's accustomed to discomfort. So you crack and give in. Exactly. That's how this works. And then you say, oh no, not me, Caleb, I'm an alpha male. All right, I'm still reading from the article. Let's say you're a tough, manly man and you don't crack. No problem, she just ups the ante. As you're lecturing her with all your guy logic about how her behavior is unacceptable and how she needs to respect you, she grabs the frying pan and throws it at the window as hard as she can. Right, she just escalates, not a problem. Or she takes a piece of glassware and throws it on the floor. Or she grabs a butcher knife and threatens to kill herself. Or she calls 911 and tells the cops you're beating her up. Now you have a real problem. But she's just fine. She's in her element. So throughout all of this, she's not happy. She's still unhappy, but she's comfortable being uncomfortable. Are you comfortable with this shit going on? No, you're not. You're a man. We don't like this. You want to be comfortable. She wants her way. Guess who usually wins? The woman does, of course. Men don't like that kind of discomfort. They're not used to it. Women have no problem with it at all. Many of them actually like it. That's an extreme example. Maybe your GF/wife isn't such a bitch. So instead of throwing pots and pans, she gives you the silent treatment. A lot of you married guys or guys who live with women know all about this. For days and days. Or restrict sex for weeks and weeks, which is very effective if you were stupid enough to get into a monogamous relationship. You hate it because it's uncomfortable. But she's comfortable being uncomfortable. She bleeds from her vagina on a regular basis and dies a little inside every time she sees her crow's feet in the mirror. She can do this uncomfortable shit forever, no problem. You can't. You want to be comfortable, right? This is the power she has over you. This is the weapon that she has that you don't have, and you don't have a defense for either. After a hard day's work, you just want to sit on the couch and relax. Us guys work hard. When it comes to focus, we have women soundly beat, and we do. We're better at focusing on one thing than women are. But when we're done working, we want to be comfortable. We don't want to work all day and then come home and work another several hours by getting screamed at by our wives or girlfriends. When this happens, you just want to get back to comfortable and happy again as fast as possible. But that's not what she wants. Make sure you hear me on this, I say in the article. I'm not saying that women are stronger than men. Correct, I'm not. We're not talking about strength or power or constitution. We're talking about what the two sexes are accustomed to. Your job is to constantly be aware that the fact that the woman or women, hopefully women if you're Alpha 2.0, in your life are usually going to attempt to use discomfort as a weapon against you in order to get what they want. It's a powerful weapon indeed. It's like a laser gun that shoots both of you at the same time, except she's immune to it. That is the exact correct metaphor. Imagine she has a laser pistol from Star Wars in her hand. And unlike most laser pistols, it shoots this way and it shoots back to you, back to her. So when she pulls the trigger, it shoots both of you. The problem is she has a force field, so it doesn't really hurt her. She doesn't really care. Or she's accustomed to lasers, so she gets smacked with it, but she doesn't care. You care. That's the difference. I have spoken with female divorce attorneys. Female, women divorce attorneys who have told me that based on their experience, when they have a divorce problem between a man and a woman and they're trying to mediate this and get through the divorce, invariably it is the man who wants to just wrap this up and move on with his life. But it's the woman who wants to keep fighting, screaming, yelling, suing, going to court, going bankrupt, spending all of her money, fucking up her kids. It's the woman who wants to keep fighting. Right, because he wants to get back to comfort and she's perfectly comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the power that women have over you when you're in a relationship with them. She is perfectly fine being angry and furious and going after you. I didn't say she's happy. I didn't say drama makes women happy. Make sure you hear me on this. I'm saying she's comfortable with it. She's accustomed to it because of how women are designed and because of the life path that women lead, as I just showed you a minute ago. Now, here's how to avoid this. few things in the article. Number one, never give a woman that kind of power over you in the first place. That is what Alpha Male 2.0 is all about. Alpha Male 2.0 is about having women in our lives in any way we want them, casually, seriously, hardcore girlfriend, or even married, where they don't have the authority over us, the financial authority or the sexual authority, to be very specific, where they can threaten these things. If my wife said to me, and she's never said this to me, but if my wife ever said to me, I'm not having sex with you until you shape up, I'd be like, okay, I'll just go fuck my FBs, which I do anyway. She doesn't have that power over me. She can't say to me, she never has, she can't, I'm going to divorce you and take half your money. She doesn't get any money if we get divorced. It's OLTR marriage. I haven't had any woman in my life who has that kind of power over me where she can use her discomfort as a weapon against me. Very, very important. If you follow Alpha Male 2.0 relationship models and certainly business models, you'll never have that problem. But that's number one. Obviously, these things affect normal, traditional, monogamous guys far more than us Alpha 2.0s. But they can still affect you if you're not careful. Moving on to the article, I say that's what most of my relationship writings are all about. Don't do things like spend lots of money on her, promise her monogamy, marry her without an enforceable prenuptial agreement, beta-ize yourself with her, co-own assets with her, etc. I've talked about that ad infinitum in my other videos and my other articles. She can't use the laser gun if you never put it in her hand to begin with. Correct. I talk about when you men get traditionally monogamously married. They hand a woman two guns. One gun says sex, one gun says money. And now she can threaten him with sex by withdrawing sex and withholding sex because he can only have sex with her because he's monogamous, moron. Or she can threaten him with money. If you don't shape up and do what you're told, I'm going to move out and you're going to have to sell the house and da-da-da, and I'm going to take half your money and take your kids, blah, blah, blah. You don't have that problem if you follow Alpha Male 2.0 relationships models. Very simple. Number two, as soon as she starts using discomfort against you, immediately boot her out of your life and keep her out of your life for several days before you resume the relationship. That's what the soft next is all about. I have several videos about the soft next. I talk about soft nexting in detail in my books. I have several articles on soft nexting. It is the most powerful weapon you have. As soon as she starts using this stuff against you, instant soft next. And you remove attention, which is the biggest thing she wants from you. Very, very important. And if you don't have the balls to soft next the woman you're seeing, you have one-itis, and all this drama is your fucking fault. Moving on. I can tell you from vast experience, and so can many other men who use the soft nexting technique, that she'll stop using that laser gun really quick if she realizes it won't work on you. Exactly. That's what outcome independence is all about. That's what not getting one-itis is all about. And never forget, you want to be comfortable, but she wants her way. And if you don't understand what I said to you in this video, she's going to get her way. She's comfortable being uncomfortable, and you're not. If you want more techniques like this to better your woman life, to improve your relationship life with women, you can go to joinsmic.com. That is my audio training and mentorship program. Or in the meantime, you can click this video here on why you should never use logic on women when you're in an argument with them. Or you can click this video here about how men are dumb, but women are insane, which is both true. I will see you in the next video.